My patient is asking me to call his son, who he's not spoken to in 10 years, and tell him to come visit him before he dies.
That's your mom. Like, how can you just not talk to her?
Yeah, when we needed you to eat and live and to survive, of course we had to stick around and deal with your... But once we don't need you anymore, what's left is the relationship that y'all cultivated, or lack thereof.
People are fed up and boundaries have been put in place, even for me. If you're unfamiliar with what going no contact means, it basically means when you don't talk to your parents at all. There's no contact and there's low contact, but to be honest, after I was doing research about this video, I was surprised and really happy to know that I wasn't the only person going through something like this. I always thought I was alone regarding this issue, but as we go through this video, it is clear that I am not. There are a lot of people who start to go no contact with their parents for a plethora of reasons, mainly being childhood trauma and emotional abuse, but I do find it important to note that I'm not talking about what's becoming a quote unquote a trend with cutting off your parents or going no contact with your parents. I'm not talking about, oh, we have different political views, or oh, they made me mad this one time. I'm talking about decades worth of problems and issues that people are fed up with and they're just cutting it off high and dry. But if you're someone that has a great relationship with your parents, good. I'm happy for you and I'm glad that that is the case. But as we go through this video, you're going to find out that there are a lot of just genuinely bad parents out there. You are going to be shocked with how some parents act towards their own offspring, and to the point where it doesn't even sound believable, because for the people in my life that I know that grew up with both parents or have no issues with their parents, it seems so unreal to me. Like, it seems like an HGTV Hallmark movie, like seeing the relationships that some of my friends have with their parents. I'm just like, damn, I didn't know this really existed. And the same thing on the flip side for them to me. When they hear about my family trauma and my stories, which I will be sharing, in this video, they are shocked with some of the things that we've gone through. And do know that regarding going no contact with your parents, it is the last resort for a lot of people. It is not something easy that they have decided to do. It is not fun for them, but it's not something they wanted or desired. It is hard. And I hope that this video gives grace to people who are going through issues like this, or if you're someone who's from the outside looking in, you approach this topic with a little more empathy, because I am seeing a lot of people say, oh, it's toxic and it's wrong. How could you ever? We're definitely going to get into all these questions. In this video, we're going to listen to several stories of people who have gone no contact and try to understand why this is becoming more common, as well as talk about my own experience and how I don't have a relationship really with both of my parents. And if you like this kind of content, you like these deep dives, and you're just hanging out with me, be sure to subscribe. It helps me out a ton, and I really appreciate you being here.
These are the things that I didn't expect when I went no contact with my mom. I have been no contact with my mom on and off for the past 10 years, but I would say it's been pretty consistent for the last 5 or 6 years. When I say no contact, I mean no contact. I don't have her phone number. I don't have her address. She met my son, but only once when he was 2 years old, and now he's about to be 7 years old this year. And she's never met my daughter, and she has not met my fiance. And the one thing that I did not expect when I went no contact with her was the amount of people in my life that would meet me for the very first time, find out that I'm no contact with my mom, and then ask me to mend the relationship. They would just automatically assume that that was my first course of action, and I did nothing to try to make the relationship between me and my mom work before I cut her off.
That is beyond relatable. Backstory. My mom and I, we are very low contact. I'll share more about that as this video progresses when it's applicable or towards the end. She lives, 30 minutes from me, and I've seen her twice this year. It's not an easy decision. It's not something that we talk about often, but it wasn't the first thing to do. It wasn't my first thought to do. And even for my father, he left the family when I was like 4 and 5. And there have been many times throughout middle school and high school where I tell people, yeah, I don't talk to my dad at all. I talk to him maybe once every 3 years if he randomly gets my number, or he's on the phone with a cousin and I'm around, whatever it may be. But there have been people that have been like, yeah, Amir, well, you should try to fix your relationship with your dad. It's really important. And I'm just like, first off, he's the one that left. Why am I the one that's having to fix this at that? Do you don't think I've ever tried? Do you don't think I've ever reached out or tried to connect and make a relationship happen? It's weird. So when people are just like, you should really fix your relationship with your mother and your father, it's like, bruh.
What I need for people to realize is that is the result of trying to make the relationship work. The no contact is the end of something. It's not the beginning of something. Typically, adult children that have gone no contact with their parents, that wasn't their first plan of action. They tried for probably many years to make the relationship with their mom or dad work. I know for me personally, there were years where my mom didn't take accountability. It wasn't just one conversation. True healing between two people cannot happen if only one person is acknowledging the trauma.
Facts. It cannot. It's literally, it's like a relation. It's a relationship. if you're in a relationship and it's one-sided, you're gonna leave. So it's like, if you're in a relationship, if you have a relationship with your parents and it's one-sided, you're gonna leave. Why should you have to feel this obligation to stick around and stay there just because it's family? It doesn't make sense to me, and it never has growing up. And it's like, it's clear there are some people who do not view family that way. It's clear to some people, some parents, family means nothing, and that means because I'm the parent, I could walk all over you. And it is okay and accepted for a adult child to put up their boundaries and put their foot down and, you know, say, well, you know what, enough is enough. Perfectly fine for someone to do.
And then even once the trauma is acknowledged, there needs to be a change in behavior. And it drives me absolutely insane when people just think, oh, you took the easy way out by just cutting her off. That was not the easy part. That was a very difficult decision. And it's a decision that I personally do not regret, because I know everything that took place and I know that I'd made the best decision for myself. And as a result of not having contact with me, she also does not have contact with my children.
Period. I don't see my kids really spending a lot of time over there. They definitely will probably meet my mom, but like staying the night, babysitting, all that, no. I know what I went through. I know what it's like, and I know if it's toxic for me, I don't want that toxicity for my children. This video is crazy. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we have a lot we're going to be going through in this video.
And I've said this in a video before, but children, no matter what the age, do not owe their parents anything. And that includes contact with their grandchildren. Parenting is a one-way street. It always has been that way. It is a job that you do not get thanked for because your children did not ask to be here. You did not have to have them. I also didn't expect the fallout that would happen with other family members because of my decision to cut off my mom. There are family members that don't talk to me, mostly siblings, just because of the fact that I won't have a relationship with our mom. And that's okay too, because although we have the same mother, I do realize we had a different experience with her based on the amount of time that we spent around her. I'm just saying, if you meet a person and find out that they're no contact with their parents, please respect their decision. Keep in mind that it is always the parent's responsibility to mend that relationship. It's never the child's responsibility, no matter how old they are.
See, I disagree with that. I do think that it's a two-way street. You should be able to work on this and try to fix it, and if not, then leave. I think that's totally acceptable. I don't think parenting is just a one-way street and it should stay that way. I think that's why there's a lot of problems. I think it should be a two-way street, having conversations, and trying to work to mend that relationship.
There is absolutely a grieving process when you end or limit your relationship with your mom. And I talk about the 3 different parts of grief in a Toxic Mom Recovery Guide, because not only are you grieving the loss of the relationship that you did have with your mom, but you're also grieving what it should have been. And if you're no contact with your mom, then you're mourning that loss like a death, except she's still alive and you know that your relationship with her is probably never going to change.
Very true. It's not for the faint of heart. It's not something that, again, I say it's wanted or desired to do, but there definitely is a grieving and mourning process with it. Even though, you know, you feel better afterwards. Like, my mental health has never been as clear as it is now. I've never been this successful. I've never been this genuinely happy in my life with the decisions that I've made to go low contact. But it's hard. It's hard. It's double-sided. One, it's hard because it's like, it just sucks knowing that, you know, you don't have the parents that you thought you would have. They still raised you, you know. My mom still fought a lot in her life and provided for me and busted her butt, but at the same time, it's like, that doesn't give you the right to disrespect me and walk all over me. And on the flip side, especially with in-laws, it's like, damn, it's crazy seeing what some moms actually are like. And it is, you do get jealous. It's like, damn, like, I wish I had a relationship like that with my parents. And I felt that way growing up in terms of, you know, my dad being gone. It's like seeing my friend's dad. Well, really, when I got my mentor when I was 18, 19, I spent a lot of time with him. I was like, he became like a father figure. It was like, oh shit, this is crazy. Like, this is what having a dad probably was like. That was eye-opening. But I mean, I didn't go no contact with him. He went no contact with me. So it's a little different. But she's spot on.
Important to know. You can absolutely 100% heal from your mom, regardless of whether or not you're in a relationship with her, even if she's already passed, because your healing journey is not dependent on her.
She has a point in that you don't have to suffer, and it is something you will get through. You know, if there's one thing I'm incredibly thankful for, it is all the lessons in my life that have helped create me and turn me into the man that I am today. I'm thankful for the amount of hardship and turmoil that me and my mother have gone through throughout the years, because it's helped shape me into the man I am today. I know the type of relationships I want in my life. I know how to speak to somebody, what not to say, what to say. I know certain things to identify and look out for. Even my father, you know, he is one of the best presents I've ever had in my life, because he's the way he just left, the way he is now when I do speak to him, you know, the once every 2-3 years, shows me the man that I do want to be. Makes me very eager to adopt and pour the love and life into a child that is out there right now that doesn't have that there for them. It excites me to be a parent because of the parents that I had growing up with. They've equipped me with the tools to be the best parent ever. On the flip side to most, by just doing the opposite of what they did. Jay-Z has an incredible song called Adness, and you should really look it up. But he's talking about his father and, you know, how he made, like, he's the present of the past. Like, he passed down this torch of, hey, here's all my mistakes, and going forward, just learn from this and grow and move on. And that's what I've taken from him. That's what I've taken from my mother. You know, I've gone through this grieving process and really being upset that they're not in my life and going through all those things. It's just, I'm in a way better state than I ever have been dealing with this and trying to mend these relationships. And it's just not an easy thing to go through or do. I don't wish it on anybody, but at the same time, I can't help what happens in my life. I can only help how I choose to go forward. That's all we ever can do.
Telling people who are no contact with their parents that they need to either make things right, they need to talk to their parents, or that's your mom. Like, how can you just not talk to her? I had someone on my live yesterday say that my mom is not guaranteed tomorrow, and that should give me the reason that I need to talk to her. Y'all only know the 2 stories that I've told y'all. I have 26 years worth of things that have happened.
Yeah. I'm on 20. I'm 28. I'll be 29 this year. If y'all only knew half the things that I've gone through regarding my mother, you would be amazed. So it's not an easy thing to do. This is not something you even wanted to do, but had to protect me and my mental health and my space. And my father, I mean, he left me, but growing up, you know, I've had family members, you know, here and there. You try and talk to him, you try to mend things. It's like, mend things for what? I barely even know the man. He left when I was 4 or 5. The times when he would come around would be the times when he didn't say he was coming, because the times he did say he was coming, I'm sitting at the front door looking like Boo Boo the Fool, wait on him to show up. Like, what are we doing here? Now, as an adult, I've had some people like, oh, you should try and fix the relationship with your father. And it's like, no, there's nothing to fix. There's nothing there. There's no value. He's still on the streets. He still wants no help. He's still bumming it and drugs. Like, the man's a lost cause. If we're able to identify that there are bad people around us, then we are able to identify that some of these bad people have kids, okay? So give grace to those who have cut their parents off. And truth be told, when it comes to my father being gone and him being in the state that he is, I am so thankful that I have today's sponsor, Aura, to have my back when it comes to protecting my digital identity, because I had been fearful in the past of him stealing my identity. And I know with Aura having my back, they will protect me in that way. Crazy that that's something I even have to worry about, but I know with Aura, they'll have my back because I'll be notified immediately when anything happens to me online. I already told y'all the story of me opening up my new business account, and I was just flooded with like, yo, was this you? What's going on? This and that. so glad to have them protect my identity, and I know so many of you all have signed up too, and they're protecting you as well. And this extends past those who have toxic people in their lives. This is for anyone to be protected, because honestly, it is genuinely concerning the amount of our data that's online that's being bought and sold for profit. And not just crappy people too, but all the creepy data brokers, stalkers, you know, people trying to dox you. Aura protects you from all of it. It's a service that protects all of your information, and honestly, it does the work of a ton of apps in one. They do the reaching out to all these data brokers to have your information removed because by law they have to, but they make it incredibly hard to do so just let Aura handle that. But the big one for me, the identity theft protection, spam call protection, it's the password manager, it's a VPN, financial fraud protector. It does so much all in one app that is nationally recognized and respected. It's digital protection for everything that is in my life, and given that my entire life is online, in addition to having toxic people out there who have close ties to me, I'm very grateful to have Aura have my back. It's easy to use, it's sleek, and it's honestly the one-stop shop that I've been looking for because I'm tired of having all these damn apps. But with Aura, they simplify everything for me. So the choice is yours. You can continue to let people profit off your private information and be at risk at people stealing your identity for those out there, or you can use my link below or scan the QR code here on the screen to sign up for your 2-week free trial with Aura. You will not be disappointed.
Just know that if it was my husband that was saying or doing the things that my mom has done, that y'all would not be telling me that I need to stay with him and talk to him and make it work. So why is it different when it comes to parents? I don't care who you are. I have boundaries. I'm not gonna let people treat me just whichever way they want to treat me. Also, keep in mind that me being no contact with my mom was not an easy decision for me. It is not something I wanted to do or that I took lightly, and I'm still not happy about it. I don't want to have this sort of relationship. I don't want to be doing this, but I'm also putting myself first and doing what I feel is best.
Yeah. That's what we all have to do. It's like, I understand this is rising, and to some people it's a trend. But for a lot of people who are really going through this, it's not a trend. It's not something lighthearted and easy to do. It genuinely isn't. And nor should the people that I've gone no contact be shunned for doing so just because you have your own ideas of what a family should look like when off the bat, the parents are not acting like the people you think they should be acting like. I've told other parents how my parents have been acting, and they're like, whoa, what? It's like, we have to stop imposing our own beliefs, our own lives, our own experiences onto other people, because you don't know what half these people have ever been going through. But one thing is for sure, like she said, if we had someone in our lives, like a husband or, you know, a friend that treated me the way my mother has, you would think I would be delusional to keep that person around. What's the tea? Like that, I'm legit though. You would think I'm batshit crazy.
As a parent, want to be a part of your adult children's lives, you have to show up the way they want you to show up. You no longer have, the power in the relationship. You can't hold their survival over their heads. Yeah, when we needed you to eat and live and to survive, of course we had to stick around and deal with your. But once we don't need you anymore, what's left is the relationship that y'all cultivated or lack thereof.
It's so true. Because I had to put up with it for so long. Being independent changed the game. And truly all that was left, when all the dependency was gone, all that's left is the relationship that was cultivated or lack thereof. Your kids need you, but the second them kids grow up, all that's left for you to sit there and think about is, okay, what kind of relationship did I make with them? Is there even a relationship there? And is it something you want to fix? Is it something you want to mend? Or is it not? Or are you still in the mindset of, well, I'm the parent? Or, well, like, the kid doesn't respect me, or this is all the gaslighting, and I can go on and on. The various stories of different friends I know who have gone no contact. But that's something a lot of these parents, whether it be the late millennial, Gen X, some boomer parents out there, that's something a lot of them are dealing with right now. They're looking over their life and they're sitting here like, damn, I don't talk to my kids. I wonder why. Well, how were you when they lived under you? That's the real question.
And a lot of y'all have made beds that you now have to sleep in. And you don't like how it feels because there's a bunch of thumbtacks and nails and broken glass in those sheets. The same thumbtacks and nails and broken glass that were in our sheets when we were kids that we couldn't complain about because we would be disrespectful or talking back. Well, guess what? Now you have to lay in that bed and sleep in that bed and let those shards of glass slice your skin up while we heal our wounds from our childhood and we do the work that you refuse to do.
I mean, spot on. The years of BS, the years of thumbtacks, the years of nails, the years of emotional abuse. For some physical, and I didn't have to deal with physical, thank God. And now there's parents out there that having to lay in that bed and really think about how they were and what the things that they said and the things that they refused to work on, how they haven't changed, how they haven't, become a different person. Yeah.
This is the least favorite part of my job. My patient is asking me to call his son, who he's not spoken to in 10 years, and tell him to come visit him before he dies. Okay. So he said no, he's not going to come. I said that I respect that decision. Asked if he wants me to notify him whenever his dad does die, and he said yes. I have to go in here now and tell the patient that. Okay, I told my patient. Didn't go well. I told him that his son said that he doesn't want to come. The patient asked if I told him that he was dying. I said I did. He said, you should have told him that he had to come. I said, I'm not going to do that. I offered if my patient wants to write his son a letter that I will get it to him, but I said I can't tell you that he'll open it. My patient told me to get out. I love this patient so much, but it's just not my place to guilt trip someone into coming. I have no idea what this person was like the first 80 years of their life before I met them. As much as it sucks to get yelled at in that way, hopefully I did the right thing.
Definitely did the right thing. Child, I wonder what this comment section gonna be like. I know there's a lot of people probably see that and like, wow, you wouldn't go see your dying parent. That's the kicker. The word parent. You have associated. We all have a different version of what a parent is. We all have a different experience of what a parent is. The parents that some of my friends have compared to my parent is a distant relative. Again, this is us having our own. Having a parent is so variable. Like there's so many people, whether they grew up in a two-parent household or not, that grew up with a mother and a father in the house but didn't have a mom and a dad. There's so many people like that who, yes, their mother is at home, their dads, their father's at home, but they don't even have a mom or a dad. These things exist. So for you to say, oh wow, like they wouldn't go see their dying parent, no, they're just not going to see somebody that has no relation to them other than them bringing them into this world. My cousins know my nickname for my father, my dad, is sperm donor. That's my sperm donor. He is no different to me than a stranger. Why am I going to go? Why am I going to spend my time seeing this person? We have to drop this idea of, well, that's your family again. We have different versions of families. That's the biggest thing. We have different versions of families and moms and dads. And there's a lot of people out there who have poor experiences and poor people for what a mother and a father is.
I have 3 adult children and 2 aren't talking to me. And do I give a damn? Of course I care, but I'm not going to feed into their bullshit.
Sounds like someone I know. That mom clearly, again, outside looking in, we even haven't gone into this. This is this first impression. I feel like that mother's very like gaslighting type and hasn't even done the work to recognize what they've done wrong personally. And they have this like higher than thou mentality of like, I am the parent, I am this, I am that.
This video is interesting to watch because I think it encapsulates how a lot of parents feel about their millennial Gen Z children. And as a millennial myself, I want to give my perspective on this topic.
This creator asked the question why, and then another creator stitched.
Okay, hold on. Parents, kids who are treating you like trash after you've given your best life, just live your best life. And that's what was on the OP, the original Posters video. And then the person reacted to, she put, She's talking about how the video she stitched of a creator asking why her kids don't speak to her when she feels like she did nothing wrong was stitched by someone else who explained why they cut off their parents. And then the other creator stitched her video. So that's all that text, if you're wondering, because I was.
Her video, and it was like, okay, well, I did this and I'm one of those kids and I walked away. Well, from my parents because they had trauma. Well, I look at it this way. They are basically saying that during our lifetime, that when their life overlapped with ours, that we should have provided them with a trauma-free, wonderful, perfect life. And I look at my mother, I have grace and empathy. Because she came up in a time where just certain things weren't available. I know that during my childhood, she battled depression. And these kids that look at our life and look at our timeline, who expect our timelines to be trauma-free so they can be individuals, that they're not dealing in reality.
It's not so much that, at least for me, that I expect parents to live a trauma-free life and that they aren't going through things. I knew my mother very well was going through a lot of mental health crisis. She, got cheated on, got left with all this baggage. We were homeless together. I mean, for a year, we hopped around 3 different houses and I shared... I shared a room this size of this, what you can see. And I slept on a bunk bed with my mom in half of 7th and 8th grade. Like, I'm well aware of the things that she's gone through and the sacrifices that she's made. I know she's had rough past. I know her own mother didn't know how to be a mother. I know how toxic she is. I'll say that for a podcast. If y'all knew half the stories my grandmother did to my mother, it is ridiculous. So I'm aware. I have empathy. I have grace. But again, we're adults now. There's still, that isn't to say you can't work on what happened in your past. That doesn't mean you can't be a better person. It also doesn't mean that when I was a kid, you have to push that and project it onto me and then give me a traumatic childhood life because you had one too. It's like, it's not fair. And that's something that was really hard to battle with in going low contact and is thinking about all the sacrifices that my mother made, being a single mom, all the sacrifices, all the things that we've gone through together, the things that I've seen, the things that I know from her childhood. It's just rough. So it's not so much that I expect parents to not be going through things. It's just I don't expect parents to be mean to their children, to understand and unpack what it is to be a parent. I don't even have a kid, but I feel like I understand how to be a good parent. I feel like I know how to disassociate my own things that I'm personally going through, but dealing with that when I can, but making sure that my child's set, they're good, and I'm not taking it out on them. That it's possible to do that. I look around. There's a lot of good parents out there.
They're not dealing with real adulthood, because real adulthood is being able to look at somebody else and have grace and empathy.
First of all, no adult child is expecting their parent to provide them with a trauma-free, wonderful life. What they ask for is for you to take accountability and make change. She goes on to say being a real adult is about having grace and empathy for people, like how she had grace and empathy for her mother who was battling depression. And I can agree with that. That is a part of adulthood. But my question is, where is the grace and empathy for the child who is being passed on all this generational trauma? Majority of children don't up and leave out of nowhere. A majority of children crave to be loved and validated by their own parents. Like, you can tell immediately there's no grace or empathy for her children because she calls what they're doing their bullshit. She also goes on to talk about how she's not talking about real abusers, ones that molest and rape and beat their children, etc.
That's more than frustrating because people always forget words have meaning. You can be verbally abusive. You can you can be verbally abusive, mentally abusive. There's other forms of abuse out there than beating someone. There really is. It can be abuse to pass on generational trauma. It can be abuse to keep negatively talking to your children. It can be abuse to just be bad. It is abuse. And just because you aren't doing the worst thing imaginable to you does not mean that it wasn't bad or didn't do damage.
Not realizing that emotional abuse and neglect actually causes the same amount, if not more, trauma to a child than all these other types of abuses that she...
Listen. the trauma from father not being around and just leaving the family up in arms, but then also how verbally abusive and the things I've gone through with my mother they're equal. So it's like, I get it. Like, I'm very thankful and I have empathy and grace that she did fight to provide for me. She provided a roof over my head. I was fed. You know, I was always outside with friends or gone with cousins, always outside on the bike. I outside of the parent issue, oh, my childhood was a movie. Literally a movie scene. These stories that I have and experience that I had when I was a kid, from just being outside or hanging with my cousins, theme parks, the whole nine. If I take the parents out, it was a great, great childhood. But I bring the parents in, and that trauma is equal on both. Parents think that just because they're providing, that they're being an awesome and great parent. I get that it could be worse, but you're also still, if you're having on that layer of being emotionally and mentally abusive, you're doing just as much damage, if not more, because you're actually there. And for me personally, it's like I've been more hurt from my mother than my own absent father, because keyword absent, like, yeah, it sucks. He was gone. Always left me up hanging dry. Like, he wasn't there, still isn't there, but at least he was gone. Whereas here I have my mother, we're in the same house, and I'm referring to you, I'm calling you mom, but I'm not feeling a mom. That hurts. You know, you're providing for me. I have new school clothes. I have food. You're busting your butt to make sure we're good. But then it all goes away with the abuse. So yeah, you did a good job at providing, but you not good job with raising. And it's so weird to me. Like, she gets a lot of credit. There's a lot of people out there who, and I get in the comments, oh my gosh, your parents raised you so well, Amir. Like, you're such a great person. Do realize some of the most successful people out there have the most traumatic childhoods or effed up families. I am a combination of everything around me. There are many lessons that I have from my mom and dad, but also from the countless, these are only a few, countless books that I've read, countless podcasts that I've listened to, countless talks with mentors and my other friends' parents and my friends and forums and YouTube. Woo! That's crazy. That actually is crazy. I'm a YouTuber. That just hit me. Because as a kid, especially in middle school and high school, turning to YouTube, turning to creators to connect with, to resonate with, and to help understand that I wasn't alone. They helped me out a ton, and it's an honor to know that this video or my content is doing the same for a lot of people out there. So, quick side note, thank you for that. Thank you for being here. Shameless plug, subscribe. Subscribe if you like the content, if you connect with this video. But yeah.
Like considers more serious. And you can tell by this video and other videos that she's posted that she's very much stuck in that emotionally abusive cycle. There's a video where she talks about how her generation was only fed one stream of information, and that was to love and respect your parents and give them grace and empathy, proving that, you know, she felt like she had no other choice but to feel that way towards her mom. Even though on the inside she may have felt conflicted, like she may still love her mom, but you know, it must have been hard growing up with a mom that had depression. There had to have been some level of like emotional neglect or abuse there. And because she was never given the space to share her emotions and have them validated, she expects the same level of love and empathy that she was forced to give her mom from her children.
This new generation, this new age, we stick up for ourselves. I'm sorry. I will let it be known how it is. I don't have to follow this society rule book of what we think a family is and blood is thicker than water and all this stuff. No. I'm taking care of myself. I'm taking care of my mental health. I've gone through too much crap in my life to sit here and be around it more willingly. I control. Damn, I kind of hurt. I control my life. I have agency over my life. I accept people in my life. I, push people away from my life because I control it. I have the power. I'm a grown man. I'm protecting my peace in the most honorable and okay way that is meaningful to me.
Abuse and neglect and the trauma that comes with that is absolutely no joke. It is the harder trauma to heal because it's invisible. It's easy to understand why you may not want to talk to a parent who's beat you or molested you or whatever, because there's clear physical evidence and you can put yourself in that person's shoes and understand how painful that could be. It's not easy for people to understand why a child would want to stop talking to a parent that has degraded, manipulated, blackmailed, gaslit, neglected them.
I want to pause. It's especially not easy to understand this because so many of us have gone through similar abuse and it's been normalized by our communities, culture, and society. Unless you've done the work to become a more conscious person, it's hard to understand the drastic effect of emotional abuse can have. Very true.
And it's because you can't physically see the damage it causes to someone's psyche. And in our society, we have been taught that our emotions are not important. And so a lot of us grow up not being in tune with our emotions and never gaining any type of emotional intelligence. From a young age, when you're taught things like sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Like, that's so not true. The way people talk to you has an incredible impact on your self-worth and who you become.
Agreed. It's such a weird statement. Yes and no. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That applies for haters. If you don't know me, I genuinely don't care what you think. All my hate comments that I get sometimes, I don't care. It's in one ear, not the other. You don't know me and I don't know you. But the people that know me, their words matter. The people that are in my life, their words matter, and their words can't hurt.
So when you've gotten to a point where you're so disconnected from your emotions, where do your emotions come from? They come from what society tells you should be feeling. And you're responding and acting in a way that society tells you should be acting and responding. And again, that's exactly what happened to this lady here. In this video, she talks about how having grace and empathy is a part of being an adult. And when you've done the work to become emotionally intelligent, you're capable of having grace and empathy for almost everyone. And what her video tells me is that she has been told who to have grace and empathy for versus actually genuinely having grace and empathy because she wants to. And I say that because she has no grace and empathy for her kids, because if she genuinely practiced grace and empathy, she would want to mend her relationship with her children. She would talk to them, understand why they feel the way they do, and want to become a better mother. She also talks about how our generation's a meme generation and how we're constantly validated by various media sources that say if it doesn't serve your peace, then walk away, and how that's bullshit. And I agree to a certain extent. You can't expect everything to be peaceful. Sometimes you have to work for that peace. But I think if you've tried to create peace and change a toxic environment and you've seen no results, then it's very much okay to walk away from that situation.
For sure. It's totally okay to walk away from the situation. I don't think it's okay for the super, the memey, weak people that are like, oh my God, we got an argument, so I'm cutting her off, or I don't like this friend, political view, cutting them off. No, that is sad. That is ridiculous how some of those people are acting. But this right here, decades worth of issues.
And I think our generation is the first generation that is actively trying to heal from all the trauma, especially emotional trauma. And our generation is also the first generation that we're told it's okay to put ourselves first.
Yeah.
And so when you've done that work and you've reached a level of awareness where you can see that there is no changing your toxic environment, there is no changing the toxic mentalities that have been ingrained into this person's subconscious, the only thing you feel like you can do is walk away in order to truly break the cycle.
That's the only thing some people can do to break the cycle, because you can't change you can't change somebody. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make the horse drink it, okay? You can't be Captain Save-A-Ho in somebody else's life. They have to put in the work for it, and if they're not going to put in the work, if they don't care, they don't see the pain that you're going through as a child, and they don't want to mend that. They don't want they don't want to fix that. All we can do is walk. A lot of adult children out there, the only solution, the only thing left to do the last resort for a lot of people is to walk away.
I don't want to sound paranoid or delusional, but there's something that's been going on that I want to talk about. It's been something coming up over and over again in the work that I do, and I just want to see if anyone else is noticing this. And it has to do with young people cutting their parents out of their lives. And I don't mean narcissistic or abusive parents, where if you're a young adult who's gotten yourself out of the relationship with your toxic parent, that is fantastic. I'm talking about young people whose parents appear to have given them a reasonable foundation in life, taught them values, tried to instill a hard work ethic into them, were overall fairly pleasant people to be around, saw their kids' feelings, validated them. Those young people, this is what I'm talking about. And before you jump in and say, well, those parents don't realize what they did to their kids, or they're coming to you with their stories and you're not getting the whole story. This is true. I only talk to the parents, so I would love to talk to some young people about this. However, I can't help but see some thread of familiarity.
Well, no shit, Sherlock. Child, if you sitting here talking to only the parents, and the parents are the one that's being cut off from, they're not telling you certain things, or they're omitting things that they don't even realize that they did. Parents can give up, like I just said, like I'm grateful for the foundation that I had. I had to work, the day I turned 16, job, put half down on my first car with my grandma. Like my mama put me on my first internship that turned into my corporate gig for 8. Like the foundation, there's a lot I have to be thankful for what my mother did for me. There's a lot that a lot of kids out there are grateful for the foundation that their parents gave them. But that's not all. That's not it. Again, like the other video we saw, it's about the relationship after. Not all the stuff they provided. What's the relationship that was cultivated? That's what matters.
To these stories where a young person has cut their parent out of their life. And so I just wanted to share what I'm seeing in terms of the common thread. It seems to be more often males than females. We're talking usually millennial. Some of these young people did not go to the lengths of cutting their parents out of their lives until they had kids of their own. And one of the things, and I can't pinpoint it as this happens all the time by any means, but marijuana smoking. Have you seen any kind of messaging, I'm gonna go with social media, where young people are encouraged to separate from their families? Again, not in a toxic situation, but rather just as a general rule that, parents in general were bad and it's time to separate from them. Can young people and their parents, if they've had differences, work together, or do young people get a message that they have to completely separate from their family? This is what I'm curious about.
Girl, I know, and they tear her up in this comment section. A lot of people put in the work, and it's like, I get there's some people out there, but like you're only getting the parent side of the story. And it makes sense. Like if some of these people are like, actually, I had a kid of my own. I don't want this kid around my mother because how I was raised. That makes sense. Marijuana smokers, I don't know about that one. More males, that makes sense because a lot of men are the one typically leading the household or being more vocal on that side of things. Like I don't want anything to do with this. Makes sense, but like you're getting only one side, and yes, parents and kids can come together to mend that relationship, but it's not a one-sided street. If the other parent's not there to do that, you're not left with much to work with. I hope this video put into perspective why some people are going no contact with their parents and sheds light on this issue for those that's been genuinely curious about it. This is a video that's been a while in the making because it's something I'm actively going through as far as being no contact with my father or low contact with my mother. And clearly one that is emotional as we've gone through this video. But it's not something that a lot of people I know do lightly. It's not a decision that was just made willy-nilly. It was not a decision made that they even want to make. Because even now, we talk about that content, oh gosh, the content creator Jeffrey Marsh, that like trans TikToker, I don't know. But like apparently like child, they talk about going no contact with their parents, and people are like, oh my gosh, they're grooming kids to not talk to their parents. Some people do that, yes. But for a lot of people out there, there's this genuine trauma that they are stepping away from, and that's okay. It goes back to, we all have our own experiences of what parents are, of what families are, and not everybody had it good. Genuinely didn't. That old saying, blood is thicker than water, honestly, with this new generation, is going out the door. And I will be talking about family dynamics and values in another video, so be sure to subscribe if you liked this content and you liked this video. Thank you so much. But that is something that I'm working on, because it is something that's changing. The way we look at families in 2024, the way Gen Z and younger millennials are looking at their structure, it's changing. Because there's a lot of people who are falling in love online. There's a lot of people who are meeting quality friends. They're not stuck to their small town. They're able to branch out, and some people are getting the respect that they didn't even know that they didn't even know was out there. Some people are being introduced to families that they didn't know existed. Had no idea some families operated this way, you know? And it's funny. We had that saying of blood is thicker than water, but let's say you're married and you have kids. More often than not, it's that family unit, your husband and your kids. On a hierarchy, they matter more to you than, you know, your immediate family. And your husband ain't blood. So, I don't know, but be sure to subscribe. I will be talking about that in another video. And we also just got a visitor. This one says it's time to EAT. So, I gotta go. Thank you all for watching this video. It means a ton to have your support. Thank you so much to my Patreon supporters. You guys just truly mean the world to me, and the conversations that we have over in the Discord and we hang out. It is joyous. Ollie dude is in the Discord as well. He's Olliebot, and he lets people know when there's current updates to the channel and my content. So be sure to check it out there. $1 a month to subscribe for a limited time whenever that cap fills up. I'm in a very chill mood now. That video was a lot emotionally. Does that feel good, buddy? Did I get the spot? Did I get the spot? Like the video, share if you like it. Be sure to check out my other video that I did on millennial parenting. That one popped off and, you know, kind of sparked the idea for this, but I'll put that one, you know, right over here somewhere on the screen for you to click on. And yeah. Thank you for your time, and I will see you in the next video. Let's say bye, buddy. Say bye. He's over it, clearly. Bye, guys.